So I actually dyed up the yarn for this project a while back, and it's been sitting in my stash languaging. Hey guys, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel, on Instagram, on Ravelry, and pretty much everywhere else on the interwebs. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about all the knitting, all the sewing, all the making, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down. And yeah, I am back this week with a full episode for you guys. So I don't know where to start sometimes. The intro is always the hardest for me, so as long as I get over that hurdle, it's smooth sailing. But anyway, intros are always tricky for me. But anyway, I digress. Welcome to the podcast. It's going to be a primarily sewing heavy episode, although I do have some knitting to share with you. But just a quick thank you. Thank you so much to everybody for all your feedback about last week's episode. I had Emily, who is also a Slow Fashion Rebel. She works for me. She's also one of my good friends and neighbor, and I had her over to record last week's podcast, and we chatted a lot about sewing, especially when it comes to choosing patterns for myself. If you follow the podcast, you know, sometimes, I really love sewing, but sometimes I hit a wall when it comes to finding patterns that, while I gravitate towards them, I don't generally end up wearing what I make. So I wanted to kind of remedy that, and Emily stepped in and really helped me out. I sent her a Pinterest board of what I consider my style, styles that I gravitate towards and things that I wear generally. And she helped me pick out some patterns that she thought might suit, my style and my body shape and, just little details. And it was just so helpful. And, likewise, a lot of you said that you found it very, very helpful for yourselves in choosing patterns for yourself, what, details to look for. So that made us so very happy. So Emily, as well says, thank you for, enjoying the podcast as well. But if you missed that episode, I definitely recommend that you check it out. I'll pop it in the doobly-doo up there. And of course, link to Emily's channel. Again, she's Slow Fashion Rebel on YouTube and on Instagram. So just a few more announcements before I get into what I've been making this week. This will probably be the last episode I record until I get back from vacation. Next week I head off to Scotland for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and I'm not going there to vend. I am just going there for the friends, the fiber, the haggis, and the sights. And this is going to be my third time going, so every year it just keeps getting better and better, and can't wait to see what this year has in store. So if you do see me roaming around the marketplace or any of the fringe events, I will be going to the big knit night. Please do come up and say hello. It would be lovely to meet you. And yeah, I just can't wait to hang out with people I haven't seen in a while. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And I will be vlogging. I know my vlogging mojo has been at an all-time low this year so far, but there will be vlogging. I will be bringing my camera with me to vlog, the sites and things I do, and just to give you guys who can't make it a little bit of a taste of what EYF is all about, and hopefully inspire you to check it out, because it's a really, really fun yarn festival, definitely worth going to, and it keeps getting bigger every year, so I'm really excited. And then after EYF, I will be there from Thursday all until Sunday, and then I'm off to meet Dennis, my husband, in France. Yeah, we're doing that. It's all so romantic, but I've never been to France before, specifically Paris we're going to, so it's really exciting. I'll talk more about this in the BLATHER segment at the end of the episode where I chat about life stuff, but we will be going there for a week, just doing the tourist thing, and just getting to check out a city that we've never experienced. And in the meantime, thank you so much for your patience while I go gallivanting across the pond, and I will be back with lots to catch you up on when I return. So, thank you in advance for your patience, and yeah, I will return to podcasting as soon as I can. But in the meantime, I will still be all over Instagram. You can definitely follow me on there as well. We also have a couple of knit-alongs that are currently underway. I will not get into detail for the sake of time, but if you would like to partake in our Uncomfort Zone KAL, that is happening. We have the Box of Socks knit along that's happening, and the Year of the Garment knit along that's happening. All information surrounding those knit alongs can be found over in the Voolenvine Yarns Ravelry thread, and I will pop a link to that in the description box below, along with everything else that I mention in this podcast. So, all right, that said, let's get into what I've been making. But first, just a quick word from my awesome sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design, business, tech, and more, even sewing and the fiber arts. As you probably know, I love learning new things when it comes to knitting, sewing, photography, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down, which is why I'm all about binge watching classes on Skillshare. And because I know you love learning new things too, I partnered up with Skillshare, and they are offering you, my viewers, 2 months free to try their platform. So give Skillshare a go and learn something new. Just click the link in the description box below and enter the code at checkout. Enjoy, and thanks Skillshare. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a relatively knitting light episode, but I do have some knitting to share with you, and living in this project bag that I whipped up for myself. It's just a simple drawstring project bag. Again, I do not sell these project bags. I just make them for myself and my friends. If you would like the pattern for this bag in particular, I will link to it in the description box below, and you can make one for yourselves. But yes, I do not sell these. I get asked that every single episode, which I'm flattered, but fortunately not enough hours in the day. But living in that project bag is my Birds of a Feather shawl, and you guys, I can't remember the last time I've been this monogamous on a project. I did not knit on anything else since the last time I recorded a podcast, but I've been making lots of headway on it, you guys. Here is where I am, and yeah, this is a really simple, really beautiful pattern by Andrea Mowry. And yeah, I'm knitting this using my hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns, in my I Am No Bird colorway, a colorway inspired by one of my favorite novels, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And yeah, I'm using 2 different bases. So I'm using my Nouveau, which are merino singles, and Ghost Lace, which is my silk mohair blend lace weight yarn. And if I can get that to focus up close, it's just, yeah. So I actually dyed up the yarn for this project a while back, and it's been sitting in my stash languishing, and it's a relaxing knit. I don't have to think too much about it, except when I get to the little lace bits. I did have to frog back a little because it's always the simple lace that gets you. You're like, oh, it's really easy lace, like for feather and fan lace, if you're not familiar. Really simple lace to knit. However, it's because it seems so simple and intuitive that your brain kind of checks out while you're knitting it, and then you realize, wait, I made a mistake, and you have to rip all the way back. Anyway, it wasn't a big deal. Ripped back a couple rows and reknit this last lace bit right here. It flew by really quickly, so yeah, nothing terrible, but yeah, it's just one of those projects that I'm really enjoying knitting. I'm hoping to have it done before Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I don't think that's gonna happen, but the fact that I seem to be plowing through 2 sections a day, at least, is, you know, there is hope. And I have to say, as a hand dyer, I love all my colorways, but if I had to choose one colorway that I dye that I absolutely love, that's my absolute favorite, it's I Am No Bird. It's just one of those colorways that, yeah, I love it. I love it so much. So, and I feel like this was the perfect project for that colorway. For this colorway, I should say. Yeah, so that is my Birds of a Feather. And if you want to see another close-up, I just really love the contrast between the mohair and the singles. It's just so soft and airy, and it's gonna be lovely. And that is all the knitting I've been doing this week. But I do have some sewing. I have some sewing to share with you. As you can see, there are 2 elephants in the room. I will talk about the the one that comes first is the one sitting in front of the lens, obviously. But anyway, that made absolutely no sense, but let's talk about it. I am currently wearing one of my most recent makes. This is the Grace Corset top by Named Clothing Patterns, I want to say. Yeah, I always want to say Named Patterns, but the company's name is Named Clothing, and they design sewing patterns. So this was one of the patterns, and I will stand up so you can see. And As the name suggests, it is a corset style top. And you guys, I have an infatuation with corsets. I can I can go down a rabbit hole with that in another episode, but yeah, I saw this and I was like, this needs to be in my wardrobe. And as you can see here, I have to adjust the the button placement a little bit because it's creating a little kind of a gap here, but I'll fix that later. But it has these, I don't know how well you can see it, boob shot, princess seams that go down here, and then this really interesting seam that extends from the back all the way down to the center. So it's very structured. And I'll turn around so you can see the back. So yeah. And yeah, it fits like a glove. I didn't have to do any modifications to it at all. Lucky me. But it was my first foray into filled seams. And if you're not familiar with that, it's just as much work as French seams, where you're encasing the raw edges within a fold, if that makes any sense. But the felled seam is, you basically, it's, I'm not going to do a good job explaining this, but just take my word for it. It's kind of like a French seam, but you're folding the seam over, you're folding part of the one half of the seam over the other seam and stitching it down on the opposite side. So it just looks like a flat, it's just a very clean finish, and that was a terrible way of explaining it. I will probably post a link in below if you are curious about felled seams. That was a lot of fun and gave me so much, I don't know, I can't explain it, like so much satisfaction when it was all coming together. So yeah, I definitely want to make another one of these in a different fabric, obviously, and maybe even turn it into a skirt, or I'm sorry, a full dress. Although I know that will require me either extending the button band all the way down or part way, or installing a zipper in the back. Pretty easy hacks to do, I'm sure. It's just something that I have to wrap my brain around. The only modification that I did do to this is the shoulder straps, because the original pattern has like these thick ribbon bow ties at the top, and I'll pop a photo of it here so you know what I'm talking about. And that really just wasn't my style. So what I did was I just took the strap from a previous dress that I made, the Klein dress, which is just a simple, narrow, kind of spaghetti strap, and added adjustable sliders. So, you know, I can extend it or, you know, extend it as needed. And I'm really, really pleased with the way it turned out. This came together really well. I want to say from start to finish, it took me about maybe 6 hours to do. It was pretty much my entire Saturday, but it was definitely worth it. I love this dress. It goes so well with like skirts, which is something that I chatted about with Emily last week. She encouraged me to explore separates, sewing separates, because I sew a lot of dresses generally. So this is a really nice addition to my wardrobe. I used, again, sparkly chambray fabric, and I really love it. Highly recommend this pattern. I would say it's, you know, for the adventurous beginner as well. If you want to learn, you know, if you want to take your sewing skills to the next level, I think it's really good for that. And yeah, again, this is the Grace Corset top by Named Clothing, and I love it. So yay, that's one make. And then the other elephant in the room is right behind me, and it's a little hard for me to get it on camera, so I will insert a video of me talking about it more in depth here. So this is the coat that I'm sewing. It's Simplicity A262 by Leanne Marshall, and it's not done yet. It's still a work in progress, but for the most part, I'm almost done. I'm almost done, you guys. I completed the outer shell, so the, you know, outer part of the coat. I'm not a pro, guys, but I guess you can call this the outer shell. And then I also completed the lining, and you guys, it's mauve. It's mauve. Are you not surprised? I'm not surprised. But anyway, yeah, I scored this fabric from mood.com. They were having a sale on their Rag & Bone line, and they make really beautiful fabrics. And this is just a felted charcoal gray, like heather gray wool, I want to say, and it is heavyweight, you guys. Really more. It's thicker than I anticipated it being, and I'm not gonna lie, this was a beast to sew together. It's the more fabric that I added to it, the heavier it got, and it just has like this really awesome neck collar. It's very structured. I did not have to add any interfacing to it because thankfully I had a really good group of sewing friends to help me out with this. Number one, Emily, Slow Fashion Rebel, and then also my friend Amy, who you've not met. She hasn't been on the podcast, but she is the wonderful friend who sewed my wedding dress. And I was chatting with her, and I said that I was thinking about sewing my first coat, and she actually hooked me up with some really awesome stuff. And I'll take out the pins. I have not sewed the lining to the jacket yet. This is still, I just popped it in so I could see what it looks like. But under here, I don't know how well you can see this, but there are shoulder pads. And she hooked me up with those. She works in the fashion industry, and she's like, just come by my office. I will give you these shoulder pads. And they're not the 80s shoulder pads, obviously, that, give you that volume. They're just there for added structure and support. And it just kind of sits on your shoulder and, evens things out. So that sits underneath the lining. So that's sandwiched in between the lining and the outer shell. And I don't know how well you can see it over here, but this layer of fabric, I think there are like 4 layers of the coat fabric stitched together. I think if I'm a little worried that the lining, because I'm going to have to sew this part to the lining, and that's not going to fit underneath my sewing foot, you guys. I don't know how that's going to work out. I might, I think I need like an industrial sewing machine. It's an adventure. We'll find out. But anyway, yeah, and I started using tailor tacks, a new to me technique. Well, not new to me. I knew they existed, but I've never implemented them in my sewing, but it came in handy for this a lot. This really came in handy for sewing a coat. I'm, just putting that out there. So yeah, my only concern now is stitching the lining to this neckline, because I don't know how it's going to fit under my presser foot. I will have to do some research online. Google is a very powerful tool, so I'm sure I will come across something. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. There are pockets. There are very discreet pockets on the side, and of course those are lined in that mauve satin. And yeah, the bottom, I still have to hem the bottom. I can't really show it to you here, but once this is done, I'm going to take some photographs of it. So another thing that was a super big help for me was this class on creativebug.com. Again, not endorsed, just a fan. I honestly love CreativeBug because it was the first site that I used to learn to sew. Deborah Creeling had a class on there on showing you how to sew a skirt from start to finish, and you learned like all these techniques. It was great. Turns out she actually has another class on that site for sewing this exact same coat. So I've been following along with the tutorial from start to finish, and it's, I watched it all the way through before I started sewing this, and then I've just been watching it again as I'm sewing along with this. So that was super helpful, and of course I'll pop a link to that class in the down bar below, or the description box below. But anyway, yeah, this is my coat, you guys. I'm, again, super, super proud of it. It has princess seams, which I will say, because, sewing, well, first of all, cutting out the fabric was no joke. I actually I pretty much broke my hands cutting out this fabric. It's super thick, super dense. I actually have a blister on my hand to prove it. But the silver lining, pun not intended, was that sewing these princess seams was a walk in the park. It just came together so nicely. It was so structured, and yeah, it just really worked out really well. So yeah, that is all I really have to say about this coat for now. Hopefully by the next time I podcast, I will have a finished coat to share with you. So a coat was definitely on my to knit list, but I really wasn't expecting to make one right away. I really did not feel confident in my sewing skills yet. I was kind of waiting until I felt more confident, but like as soon as I saw the pattern online, I was like, the time is now. The time has come for me to sew a coat, even though it's spring out. Yeah, so this will be something to look forward to come next winter when it gets really cold, because this is going to be super warm. But yeah, I'm super proud of myself, really, really proud of myself, actually. And yeah, I could see myself making another one of these, but obviously not for for a little bit, probably out of some lighter weight fabric, because I'm not gonna lie, this was a beast to sew. It's really heavy. I really wanted to be able to take it with me to Edinburgh Yarn Festival with me, or when we go to Paris, but I don't think it's a very travel friendly coat. I can't really stuff it up in a carry-on luggage bag, or I could see like it not being the most comfortable to wear on a plane, and especially if Dennis and I are going to be doing a lot of walking and sightseeing. Anything not to like weigh me down a little bit. This is going to be a great winter coat come next year, just for keeping me warm and feeling fabulous going outside. But yeah, I want to say like every time I up my sewing game and learn a new skill, the more and more I fall in love with it. I want to do so much more with sewing. I just get so excited about it. I want to learn all the things, and I really want to get so good at it, you guys. I can't explain it. So yeah, I'm having so much fun with that. But yeah, so those are my makes for this week. And yeah, I hope to get some more sewing done this weekend. Speaking of which, I did receive a little bit of a fabric haul, because after my conversation with Emily last week about my style and like what patterns I should gravitate towards, I did a little more research and picked out some patterns, and chose some patterns that she suggested for me. Number one, the Lizzie Dress by Sew Over London. I'll pop a photo of it here. And it's, again, like when searching for patterns, you kind of have to look past what the sample is, because if I were to just see that hanging in a store, I would not buy it for myself at all. Number one, because it's white. I rarely, if at all, wear any white. But you have to look at the design elements. So what I really liked about it, what Emily pointed out, it's like, because I have a lot of lace and lace in on my style Pinterest board, she said, I could replace it with like a black lace or eyelet overlay and have like something else underneath. So I took that into consideration. So I did purchase some fabric for that. I went on fabric.com, which is typically where, I know there are a bunch of other places to get fabric from, and thank you so much to all your recommendations, but I don't know, I have an affinity for fabric.com. It's all in one place, and they have a good return policy if I don't like something, so which is rare. But anyway, I purchased this really beautiful, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, because let me see. Yeah, so this is gonna be the hem. It's just like this really beautiful kind of like Victorian lace. So that will be the hem of it, if you can imagine that upside down. And then underneath, I really haven't decided, but I got this, it's polyester poplin in this blush colorway. So this will go ideally underneath. So it's gonna look like that. But I don't know if that's too pink. I don't know, I really like it. So I think that's gonna go underneath. Or I got the same fabric, the same poplin fabric in like this charcoal gray. So this could go underneath as well. And I think this kind of like speaks to my gothic soul. I don't know, but yeah. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So that will still be TBD, but I'm a little on the fence about the Lizzie skirt, only because it has pleats, and I'm not so sure. I think I could totally get away with pleats on this. But me in general, I don't really like pleats. I'll be totally honest. I can't really, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud right now, but because they're very narrow pleats, I think it'll be okay. Wider pleats, I don't gravitate towards very well. Yeah, so that is one project. And I don't know, I got this other really beautiful fabric that I was not expecting it to be this pretty, but it's shimmer satin in this really gorgeous champagne colorway. I don't know what this will become. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's like a very subtle shimmer sheen to it. So this would be, I don't know, like a really kind of flowing skirt. I'm thinking a Brumby dress by Megan Nielsen. I think that would be a really, really beautiful project for this. I got 3 yards of it. Yeah, so that's what this might become. So yeah, that is pretty much it for sewing this week and the content in general. I will be having a shop update. If you're not familiar, I am the hand dyer behind Voolenvine yarns. I will be having a shop update on Saturday, my international friendly update on March 16th at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I hope you can make it. And as always, as I mention every week, if you would like to be notified about what colorways and bases will be in every shop update, along with other news surrounding Voolenvine yarns, you can sign up for my newsletter over on my website, voolenvineyarns.com, and just click the newsletter link at the top of the site and enter your email address, and every week you will get a newsletter in your inbox letting you know all the details about all the updates and all the things. So, you know, no spam, just info. So that said, I am going to move along. Oh, well, I should say that, again, this is going to be the last update before I get back from Paris. So that will be after that will be after April 1st. So thank you again for your patience, and I will let you know as soon as I get back when the next update will be. So yes. All right, moving along onto the Blather segment, a segment where I chat about what's been happening in my life, should you care to stick around, and other ramblings that happen to pour from my mind. So let's get on with it, shall we? So yeah, I am heading off to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and I don't exactly have a shopping list as far as what yarns I want to get. I'm just gonna go have fun, enjoy myself, and whatever pops out at me. You know, it may or may not follow me home. I don't know. But I do have, I think if I do come away with yarn, it's probably going to be a sweater quantities, because I do want to make it count. I've been really into knitting sweaters lately. So I'm gonna avoid getting, these just one Skein Wonder type deals. So, but again, if something really strikes me, I might come away with it. So yeah, that should be fun. And I will be vlogging. I'm going to be taking this camera with me because I really want to hone those photography skills that I've been practicing on. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so again, if you see me roaming around, please do come up, say hello. I will give you hugs, and the like. So yeah, and I'm trying to think what else. Oh, there is a topic that I did want to discuss briefly. I get asked this quite a lot, so I thought I might, kind of like address it here on the podcast. How I managed to get so much done, because a lot of you say, how do you do it all? And between running a business and sewing all the things and knitting all the things and cranking them out so fast. It doesn't feel like that for me in general. Normally I feel like there aren't enough hours in the day, but I will say waking up early really helps me out. So I wake up early. Sometimes I have to, ever since I got sick a couple weeks ago, I've fallen off the wagon as far as getting up as early as I usually do, but I'm getting back in the habit of it. But generally I wake up at 6 o'clock, 6:30 every morning. Doesn't matter, even on the weekends, just so I have those, that quiet time in the morning, just to kind of like set the pace for the day, figure out what it is I want to do, answer emails, journal, and just get my mind in gear, basically. So that's one thing that I do that I find really helpful. And then I feel like I have the whole rest of the day to get done what I need to get done. The other thing that I do is I actually put my phone on night mode during the day. So I basically schedule time to answer emails, catch up on texts and messages, and engage in social media at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. Just allotting X amount of time for myself to catch up on those things. And I will be totally honest, I'm horrible at it usually. But I do what I can because, I do get quite a lot of messages and everything. So it's hard for me to really keep up. But if I don't set those boundaries for myself, it becomes a nightmare for myself. So, that's the method to my madness. And yeah, after I'm done with that in the morning, I just put my phone on night mode so I don't get any notifications. I don't get any distractions. Of course, I have important people in my life like Dennis and family, and close friends, on the VIP. So like if there's an emergency, I'll be notified about it. But, for the most part, I don't look at my phone for most of the day unless I'm posting to social media. And when I do set myself, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes to like engage after I post something. But other than that, I don't look at my phone. And honestly, it's really liberating and allows me to kind of focus on the task at hand, what needs to get done, and I'm just not distracted, which is, I highly recommend it. Another tip is I generally say no to a lot of things. So I've been getting better at it, but you know, I have a set list of priorities during the day. So work, creative time, alone time, dentist, family, you know, just things that are important to me, I focus on those and everything else comes after that. So, you know, weekends and, you know, that time that I have after I'm done working, that is my time. That is my time to just focus on doing what I enjoy doing, be it knitting, sewing, reading, creating, spending time with Dennis, catching up with friends, and you know, so that you know, knowing that that's, you know, what I want to dedicate my time to. Anything that doesn't fit within that, generally I say no to, unless, you know, unless I see that it aligns with something that is important to me, or it aligns with my values, or if that makes any sense. You can tell I've been reading up on this a lot, but anyway, it makes sense for me, and it's what's been working for me. So yeah, if you know, I don't feel guilty anymore saying no to things that you know, just aren't worth my time, things that I don't want to do, that I feel don't add value, or things that I won't add value to, just, you know, things that don't make sense for me to do. I don't let the guilt kind of eat me as it has in the past. So, you know, I say no a lot to things. I hope that helps you guys. If you were wondering how I managed to get it all done, I still don't know, but I find those tactics have been working for me. So I hope that helps you guys. But yeah, so anyway, I think that is it for the episode. Thank you so much again for hanging out with me today. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe below. I put out a new episode every Friday, unless otherwise stated. I want to say, as I'm stating right now, I will be away next week and the following week. I will try and put something fun out for you guys, but no promises. But I will be back in 2 weeks' time with a new episode and vlog from Edinburgh for you guys to enjoy. But in the meantime, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy making, and I will see you next time. Bye!